Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I am here with the most wonderful Jennifer Walker Gates. And how are you, Ms. Gates?
I'm really good. Thank you, Elsa. How are
I
you?
do. I'm
Guerra.
great. Yes, I know. I feel very formal when I do these presentations, but obviously I don't know what happens. Today we're going to be talking about LGBTQ, the community, and how it relates to immigration, especially with this new administration. The first question that I have for you, Jennifer, is whether same-sex couples are having the same opportunities to get green cards as regular heterosexual couples.
So, in general, the answer is yes. I just consulted with someone the other day who, um, we were talking about how she had a petition filed by her brother many years ago, but didn't have really any way to immigrate through that petition. But as we were talking, she indicated to me that her partner is a U.S. citizen, um, and but she thought that same-sex immigration and same-sex marriage was canceled because President Trump has indicated he's not a fan of same-sex marriage. Fortunately, President Trump doesn't get to make the law on that. The Supreme Court has already ruled that same-sex marriage is a protected right in the United States. And having that struck down is going to be a process that takes a long time. I don't know what kind of cases are pending right now that are trying to attack that right. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some, but I'm not aware of any right now. I don't think it's a high priority, certainly not this year for the court. And so as it stands right now, same-sex couples can petition their partners, just like, heterosexual straight couples.
Right. And even if they did want to eliminate it, it wouldn't happen overnight. It would take a good amount of time, a lot of lawsuits, I'm sure, before
Yes.
they change that.
Lots of cases having to work their way through the court system.
So the same evidence would apply in a regular green card application as it would to a to a gay couple.
That's correct. The same standards apply. It still has to be a good faith marriage. In other words, it cannot be a marriage solely for immigration purposes. And then the person who's applying for their residency still has to meet all of the other requirements, financial requirements, admissibility requirements. They have to have the same kind of either lawful entry, or they have to be able to qualify for a waiver through a qualifying relative, which could be the U.S. citizen spouse. But so it's not just to say that if you're in a same-sex relationship, you're definitely going to qualify for your green card. That's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that the fact of being in a same-sex relationship does not disqualify you at this point. You can still petition for a spouse, even in same-sex relationships.
I think a very common question is whether they face a strict or higher form of scrutiny when the officers are reviewing that application. Have you seen that in your practice?
I have not. I have heard of it from other colleagues, and this is a perfect opportunity to explain why it's very important for us as attorneys. In our office, we always accompany clients to interviews at USCIS. Always, because if an officer is subjecting a same-sex couple to a higher level of scrutiny than would be applied to a heterosexual couple, that is a form of discrimination. That is against the law, and an attorney needs to be there to bear witness to that and advocate on behalf of the clients. I have spoken recently with two individuals who attended interviews, one with a spouse, one with a parent, without an attorney. And both of those interviews ended in complete disaster, with people signing confessions to types of misrepresentation that were utterly disastrous for their case. This is this has only really happened a few times in my whole career of 20 years. You don't want to be one of those rare cases. And we never can predict who's going to be the officer on a case. So that it's so important to take an advocate with you to every meeting with USCIS that you possibly can.
I completely agree. Better safe than sorry. I
Absolutely.
also think it's super important to point out that there's so many fraud cases going around by notarios or unqualified legal service providers. And that's another reason why it's good to consult with an attorney and take an attorney with you to your interview.
Absolutely. USCIS is aware that there's a lot of notario fraud. And there's a lot of, frankly, fraud even committed by licensed attorneys.
Wow.
It is really a serious problem because it puts everyone at risk in the immigration system. So do work with a reputable attorney. Don't ever work with an attorney who encourages you to lie about some important element of your case that is or about anything for that matter. An attorney is bound to be honest. Even if we don't like the laws, we're bound to follow the laws. And an attorney who isn't doing that is putting their own license at risk. And if they're willing to do that with their own license, they're probably willing to put your own livelihood and safety at risk as well. So be very cautious and honestly, like any attorney who encourages you to misrepresent information, huge red flag. Find somebody else. Get another opinion.
That is very true. And I feel like the more that I've been practicing, the more common I see that. And I didn't realize how extremely common it was for even just lawyers to promote
Yes,
that.
it is, unfortunately.
For sure. Okay, so moving on, what other benefits can the LGBTQ community still apply for?
Great question. So the LGBTQ community, by and large, can apply for the same kinds of benefits that the rest of the immigrant community can in the United States. Some common ones that we see include benefits for survivors of violence, domestic violence, crime, violent crime, human trafficking, sexual abuse. Those kinds of cases, whether it be VAWA, U visa, T visa, those kinds of cases are available to individuals in same-sex relationships, just as they are for other types of couples, other types of relationships, other types of families. Asylum is still a viable alternative for many individuals if they fear persecution in their home country based on their sexual orientation or their gender identity. Even though this administration has made a huge show of condemning individuals who change their gender identity, the real impact that we've seen of those executive orders is that the Department of State, USCIS, they are no longer issuing documents to people with X gender markers. They're forcing people to choose male or female. They're insisting that people choose the gender identity marker that was assigned to them at birth. And in detention with ICE, individuals who are trans are being detained with the general population, or with not in the general population, often in solitary confinement, but they're being detained with the people who match the gender identity that was assigned to them at birth. So that's been the main impact, is in the detention and in the issuance of documents. However, asylum claims, VAWA claims, U visa claims, those types of cases are still available to individuals who have, a sexual orientation or a gender identity that isn't matching, the mainstream. People are still invited and able to apply for those forms of protection.
Because I think another common misconception that I hear in the consultations are that VAWAs would only apply to women, but as we know, it's both. It's for everybody.
That's correct. Violence Against Women Act applies to men, it applies to people of every gender identity. It applies to men, it applies to women, it applies to trans folks. So it is still a viable claim if you are in a situation where anyone is abusing you, please use the law enforcement resources that are available to protect you, to get out of that situation as best you can, as safely as you can. And if you are struggling because your immigration status needs to be, regularized in some way, and you can't now depend on a partner or a spouse to help you with that, there could be benefits available. So it's just really important to do what you can to understand your own case and your rights.
I agree. Very important to just consult with an attorney to get more of a personalized experience and see what you qualify for the time
Yes,
being.
definitely. Jackie has put a link in the chat for a really good resource that you found, Elsa. What is that resource?
It is from the ILRC, and it is titled Special Considerations for LGBTQ Immigrants.
Beautiful. ILRC is the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, really outstanding nonprofit, high credibility. You can trust the information they're providing to you. So if you want resources and information about your rights as an individual, as an immigrant who is also a member of the LGBTQ community, check out that download. It's linked in our comments right now.
I think they have great resources. Honestly, they
Great
always
resources.
do. But at the bottom of that link, it has at the bottom of the actual document, it has a lot of links of different know your rights documents and a preparedness plan for those that want to start getting prepared just in case.
Yeah, family planning resources, organizations that support LGBTQ immigrants, etc. So I also see that we have a comment, we have subscribed to our newsletter. On our website, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll be happy to share updates and resources with you on the regular through email. But also, we have a question from Nat. I've received an email from USCIS on January 3rd. The email says I'm on review for my VAWA, and it says they'll answer in 30 days. It's been more than 30 days. Should I be worried? What do you think about that, Elsa?
That is actually very interesting. I wonder if it is an RF, or what do you think it is? I'm not sure.
That is interesting. So what I'm understanding, Nate, and you can correct us if we're wrong, is that you have probably email alerts set up in your kind of USCIS account. You have a VAWA application or petition pending, and you got some kind of update indicating that they expected to provide an answer in 30 days. If it's been past 30 days, I would actually take another look at exactly what the notice was for and what they've meant. And if it has been, it's just for the work permit. I don't qualify for the green card because of permanent bar. Okay. So, in VAWA petitions, some individuals who won't qualify for adjustment of status can still receive deferred action status and a work permit through the Violence Against Women Act if they meet the other requirements for VAWA. And so it sounds like Nat GS applied for deferred action status and a work permit through VAWA and received a prima facie notice. Now, in our experience, the prima facie notice will not automatically generate the work permit. The thing that generates the actual work permit is the approval of the I-360 VAWA petition. Once that is approved, then the work permit can be processed. So the I-360s, in my experience, take quite a long time and can drag on quite a bit. So I think it's important to check the processing times for the I-360s. If your case is outside of the normal processing times, you need to be able to send an email to the Nebraska Service Center or the Vermont Service Center, depending on where your case is being processed. I hope you're working with an attorney so that they can make those kinds of inquiries for you. If not, it can be a little tough because I don't know that USCIS publishes email addresses for individuals who are applying pro se on the USCIS website. I would go to the VAWA information page on uscis.gov and see if they provide you with an email address where you can make an inquiry to the Vermont Service Center for your case. If your case is outside of normal processing or published processing times, you can send an email to the Vermont Service Center asking them what is going on, and they should respond to you within 30 days or so. Okay. Okay. This is Bren saying their lawyer isn't responding to their calls. Bren Gilberti says, I don't know who can help me. My lawyer isn't picking up my calls. How would you advise someone in that situation, Elsa?
I personally think it's really important to contact a different lawyer just to get maybe a second opinion. Um, Unfortunately, that happens often. And I think some lawyers are very bad at communication, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have information on your case, or you should still have you should still be informed. And the best way, in my opinion, is to probably consult with another attorney. What do you think, Jennifer?
I think that's a great place to start, to find someone who will be responsive, will be supportive through the whole process. Now, these cases take a really, really long time. And so there's a difference between a lawyer who simply does not respond at all and a lawyer who maybe takes longer to respond than you might ideally like, but they still respond.
Yep.
If a case is going to be pending for 4 years, and the person is asking for a status update every single month, sometimes those kinds of inquiries can kind of get pushed to the bottom of the priority list because there's no status change or update. And so as other emergencies are coming up and things are happening, we have to prioritize our communications. But every client gets response. They have to. It's our ethical duty as attorneys to respond to our clients and keep them informed about what is happening in their cases. Sometimes the paralegal can respond in lieu of the attorney. Sometimes an admin can respond in lieu of the attorney. That's also fine as long as the person is getting the information they sought. So if your attorney is not responding at all, that is a serious problem. And I would start by consulting another lawyer.
Oh, can I apply by myself? If yes, how? I personally wouldn't recommend, I think, for the VAWA to apply by yourself. I think it's always important to have some type of guidance, especially from an attorney who better than your attorney who has done it multiple, if not hundreds of times before you. I wouldn't personally. What do you think, Jennifer?
Yeah, an attorney is not required. However, VAWA cases are extremely complex. There's a lot at stake. It's very important to make sure it's done well, and the opportunity that it represents is not lost. And so I do think it is worth finding a trustworthy attorney. Many attorneys, including our firm, will offer a payment plan to try to make it as affordable and accessible as possible for applicants who need help. That's my advice, is rather than try to do it on your own, instead try to find an attorney who will work with you on the payments in a way that makes it accessible for you.
I completely agree. That was a very good response.
Thanks.
Cool.
So Elsa, I think that if we don't have other questions or comments, how would you kind of summarize the information that we provided today for the LGBTQ community and then for VAWA applicants?
Of course, as we said, I think it's very important for everyone to know that the LGBTQ community still has the same rights as everyone. They can still apply for green cards. They can still apply for asylum, T visas, U visas, VAWAs, and it's not to say that we that it's going to leave anytime soon, but it is very important to speak to an attorney and start that process as soon as you can if you are eligible for these benefits. Truly, it is important just to speak with an attorney to see if you qualify. As for was it the VAWA? Yes, if you are not hearing from your attorney, it is always important to speak to another one. Truly, like Jennifer was saying, you should be getting at least some response from a paralegal, if not from an attorney, and it's probably not in your best interest to do it yourself. The VAWA is it's complex, and you should have your let's say a support system, a cheerleader for you, a lawyer that will get every detail and every piece of evidence that can be put into your application.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see. We have another question. Jonathan Sanchez is asking, can I apply for a T visa while the VAWA is in process? What do you think, Elsa?
That's a good question. I've actually never done that. I don't know if I would. The TV set takes a little longer, correct?
Yeah, I think I would, before I would make it, I mean, I think technically the answer is yes. You can apply for a T visa while a VAWA is also pending. You can. There's nothing again like illegal about that or anything like that. Is it worth using the resources required to get both of those cases filed is a different question. So I would recommend meeting, looking at the facts of both really carefully. If one is substantially stronger than the other one and is much more likely to succeed, then that makes sense as well. If I think it's important to just look at all the factors before deciding whether to do that or not. How can I set up an appointment with you? Thank you for asking, Jonathan. That's a great question. Our contact information is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. We also speak Spanish. Everyone in our office speaks Spanish. You can schedule with us directly on our website at jlw.law. Our phone number is 512-633-1785. Consultation prices range from $150 to $200, depending on which attorney you're meeting with. And we offer payment plans for almost all of our clients. That has been part of our model since the very beginning, because we do want to make sure that the high quality legal representation we provide remains accessible to as many individuals as possible. So we work hard to break payments into little chunks and make them affordable for our clients. So yeah, we would be honored to consult with you and look forward to getting to meet you. And with that, I think we can sign off for today. Elsa, thank you so much for taking the time to be here to share this information.
Of course, it was my pleasure. We'll see each other hopefully next Wednesday, correct?
That's right. Every Wednesday we're here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel also, y'all, and share it. Feel free to leave comments. We are trying to make sure people get good, high quality, trustworthy information. You can help us do that by sharing our channel, subscribing. And if you have questions about anything, I do respond to the comments. So thanks again and take good care. We'll see you next week. Every Wednesday at noon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.